Hey there, guys. Welcome back to Rissa Roams. My name is Marissa. Today, I'm here to talk to you about what a day of eating typically looked like for me on the AT. Now, I have to say, let's preface this with this is not healthy, not at all. I did not make the best choices on trail for sure, but this is what kept me fueled and kept me going on trail. There are so many more options. I have to say, I'm very much a creature of habit. And once I found what worked for me, I really stuck to it. And I didn't really get tired of what I'm going to show you. So these are the things that stuck with me. There were a lot of things that I tried and ended up not doing. But yeah, so this is just what a normal day for me looked like. So this is a resupply box that I am currently packing up to take on the Pinhoti. So I'm going to drop this off at a hostel and then pick it up later. So this is 3 days worth of food for me and what that looks like. So let's get going here. So to start off with breakfast, when I first started trail, I was doing oatmeal. I found that I didn't really like taking the time to eat oatmeal. It didn't really keep me full all that much. You could add stuff to it to make it work for you, but if it was raining, I didn't really want to bother. So I got to where I would just eat a pack of Pop-Tarts every morning. I also had the idea, in order to like bulk this up, is take the 2 Pop-Tarts and put some peanut butter in between them and like make a peanut butter Pop-Tart sandwich. I didn't really end up doing that, but as I started to get hungrier, that was an idea that crossed through my mind, and I kind of wish I'd done it. So for a 3-day resupply, I've got 2 Pop-Tarts here for 2 days worth of breakfast. With that, I would always have coffee on trail. I am a coffee addict, and if I don't have it, I will get a crippling headache. I discovered that on trail when I skipped coffee a couple times. So I did Nescafe Taster's Choice. This was my, favorite coffee that was easily accessible on trail. And so I would pair that with a breakfast essential. And so that would be my breakfast along with the Pop-Tart. I will say you should probably be having more calories at breakfast than that, but I was eating enough snacks throughout the day and having a bulky enough lunch that it didn't really seem to be an issue for me. I will say my first 800 miles of trail, I actually only lost 1 pound. I was dropping inches, so I was definitely converting fat to muscle, but I did maintain my weight for the majority of trail. So I did a decent job of getting the calories that I needed. And I'm very happy with that. I think I ended up losing about 13 pounds on trail overall. But yeah, so just a side note there. So that's my breakfast. Like I said, not a big breakfast, but just enough to get me going. And then I would snack. So every single day of trail, pretty much, excuse me, I would have a Gatorade protein bar, specifically peanut butter, if I could find it. Those were my favorite. I had one of these almost every single day. If I couldn't find them in a town, then I would get a different protein bar. But for the majority of the 221 days I spent on trail, I had one of these every day. They have 360 calories and 20 grams of protein. And so this was definitely fuel for me. So this would be like my second breakfast after my first one. And so, yeah, I've got one for each day in this resupply box. So that's 3 of those. From there, I usually wouldn't have another snack until lunch unless maybe, I would have a fruit by the foot or some Gushers or fruit snacks or something. I like to keep some of those just easily accessible. But the next thing I would eat would typically be lunch. When I first started out trail, I was eating Cliff Bars with peanut butter. I did find that just didn't really work well with my stomach. I also did some wraps for a little while. I got a tube of pesto and would do a chicken pesto wrap. But I found that for me, chicken just wasn't calorically or calorically dense enough or had enough fat in it to keep me satisfied and full on trail. Same goes for tuna. It just didn't really keep me satisfied. So I found that pepperoni was the best thing for me to eat. For a while, I was still doing like pepperoni pesto wraps. Once I ran out of the pesto, though, I don't really care for wraps, so I wasn't, it wasn't a huge deal to stop doing that. So this is a terrible lunch, but for me, it worked. I would eat half a bag of pepperoni every single day for lunch, along with probably about a third of a bag of Doritos. Yeah. Am I proud of this? No, I'm not proud of it. But once again, it worked for me. So I usually went with the spicy sweet chili. I did ranch for a little while too, Cool Ranch. I also liked jalapeno kettle chips, but those kind of got old after a little while. So my lunch would be half a bag of pepperoni, a good amount of Doritos, and then candy. I would have candy every single day. It, I swear, is how I helped meet my calorie needs, and it definitely got me going and just, brightened my day. I'm usually a chocolate fiend. My mom is currently baking brownies for me. I love chocolate, but I don't really care for chocolate that much on trail. I really prefer fruity candies. Starburst are great, but I don't like dealing with all the trash from all the wrappers. So my go-tos were Sour Patch watermelons and wild berry Skittles. And so this is the candy that I most frequently grabbed. And so I would have one of these every single day, usually with lunch, sometimes with dinner, just depending on how things worked out. All right. Little supplementary thing here. I also would try and have electrolytes every single day. I usually steered clear of the Gatorade ones because I didn't feel like it really had enough salt content for me. And it was hard to find Gatorade that wasn't Gatorade Zero, and I just didn't really like the taste of the fake sugar. So I love Element, but I just couldn't, one, find it easily on trail, and two, it was pretty expensive. Liquid IV is also expensive, but this is usually what I went for. But I would take whatever I could get. Sometimes you can't find it. So that was that. So then after lunch, I would usually have 2 more bars throughout the day as a snack. And there were several different ones that I kind of cycled through that I liked and that worked for me. I love the Nature Valley wafer bars. These are 200 calories and super light. Let's see. Yeah, they're 1.3 ounces and 200 calories. And so I would get these as often as I could. My favorite is the pretzel peanut butter. It's so hard to find. But yeah, so these were something that I reached for often, as well as like the Nature's Bakery fig bars. These are 200 calories for 2 ounces. And so another pretty calorically dense snack to carry around. So these were probably my second favorite option on trail. I don't have one with me, but I do have a whole box of them in another room. I also would do like the Belvita breakfast biscuit cracker things. Once again, I think a little over an ounce for 230 calories. So calorically dense, which is what I was looking for in all of my snacks. And so that's a good option as well. Another one are Bobos. I preferred like the PB&J type ones. I just found them a little less dry than some of the other oat bites that they had. So I went for these pretty frequently. I did get tired of them at one point. But once again, like 230 calories for 2 ounces. So that's usually what I was looking for in a snack. All right. So those are the snacks that I would do. And then we'll transition to my dinners. So I got a little bougie with my dinner. Yeah, I realized pretty quickly that I was getting tired of eating Easy Mac and instant mashed potatoes and nor rice sides, and I was just dreading dinner. And dreading what you're eating is just not good. Those are great options for some people, and people do it the whole time. My financial situation didn't require me to go for the cheapest options. I had a change to my budget while I was on trail, and I enjoyed that and decided to eat what I wanted to eat and what would make me feel good. So I know that I am atypical in this, and yeah, most of what you're going to be eating is grocery store food that you'll find, the north sides and the instant mashed potatoes, and those are all well and good, but like I said, I was able to treat myself, and so I did. So if I could get backpacking meals, that's what I would eat. Um, and so I've got a couple that I've repackaged into Ziplocs here. I cook in my Ziplocs. So usually I would have quart size, but my mom didn't have quart size. And so they're in gallon right now. And so I would just pour the water right in here and put it in a little Mylar bag to rehydrate. So yeah, this is Mountain House Pad Thai, which is my favorite backpacking meal. So I ate these as frequently as I could. I also ate ramen. That was one thing I never got tired of. I specifically eat the Shin ramen. I'll put a picture of it on the screen. I go for this for a couple of reasons. One, it's the ramen I eat at home, but also I like spicy. It's spicy and it's very high calorie ramen compared to, you know, like the top ramen that you'll find. So a pack of Shin ramen is 510 calories as opposed to maybe the 200 or 300 that your cheaper ramen will be. And yeah, so I went for that often. I preferred the red one that I'm showing you here because I like the spice, but I did frequently get Shin Black. It is made with bone broth, so it was higher in protein and calorie than the red and a little less spicy, which sometimes was good. Typically, spice does not affect my stomach, but on trail it did occasionally. So yeah, so I ate ramen, and like I said, I might have more candy with dinner as well. That was a huge staple of my diet. I tell people I survived off of Pop Tarts, pepperoni, protein bars, and candy. That's what got me through. And so, once again, I had a very limited diet. I didn't have a lot of variety, but it worked for me. I can't say that this is what's going to work for you, but just to kind of give you a little insight into what I ate. And I will say, this definitely isn't meeting the calorie goals every day that you need. You get to town and you go to a restaurant and you absolutely pig out and you make up for that deficit. When I was staying with Pizza Bastard and his wife, there was one day his wife, Tammy, said, "How does this tiny little girl eat so much food?" And he was telling her, you know, right now while she's staying with us, she's meeting her calorie intake needs. But once she leaves here, the 2 days it takes her to get from our house to the next town, you know, she's going to be calorie deficient. She's going to have to load up. I got to that next town, and that's when I stayed with Father Time and Evergreen. Father Time is currently hiking the AT in 2025, so you can actually follow him. I'll put his channel on the screen. But I got there, and Evergreen made chicken pot pie for us, and it was me, Father Time, Evergreen, and then Evergreen's dad sitting there. And I look at this chicken pot pie, and I know it's not enough food for me. And she sees the look in my eyes and she says, "Don't worry, I made two." She knows, she knows. And so her dad was then like, "You think the four of us are going to eat this whole chicken pot pie?" He watched me then proceed to eat 4 servings of chicken pot pie and was like, "Okay, I think I understand now." And at the end of that, there was still a little bit of chicken pot pie left, but I didn't eat any more because I knew that their sons were going to come home from work soon. And she looks at me, Evergreen does, and says, "If you wanted to, you could have finished that whole thing, couldn't you?" I was like, "Yeah, I sure could." And then I proceeded to have dessert after that. So yeah, the hunger from about mile 200 on was just insatiable. I could never get enough food. And so town was really where you got those calorie needs met. So anyway, that was a very long tangent, but thank you so much for watching. I hope that this, I can't say that it taught you much because I didn't give you a ton of options, but I hope that you got some entertainment in seeing what it was that fueled my 2024 through hike. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a good one.